This is my server. And inside here are 4 6TB drives that are running in basically RAID 10, but it's ZFS through TrueNAS. Anyway, this might not interest any of you, but I figured I'd make a video on it. This is how I actually do all my client work, as well as keep everything housed, so I can work on any computer in my house at any time, connecting to the files. This is old. As you can tell, this is not only an old case, but actually the hardware inside is quite old. That's actually a Xeon processor from like 2013 or 2011. It needs an upgrade. It's power hungry, it's loud, and it's not really upgrading in performance necessarily as much as we're making it smaller, quieter, sleeker, nice. Inside these 2 Amazon boxes, this one has a whole bunch of just stuff for the motherboard, the RAM, and a whole bunch of stuff. And then we have a computer case, which is really just a mini NAS case. Anyway, this whole upgrade was like $300 for me to convert everything. I'm basically just taking all of the hard drives out of there and putting it in there.
Oh my gosh!
This will become a gaming PC for someone. This will be my new NAS. Small, easy, simple.
I love playing New World.
You do? This is like the first time he's ever played a game like on a computer or a console and genuinely had some fun. Anyway, what do you like about New World, baby?
I love it. How I do cannonball.
How you do cannonballs into the waterfalls?
Yeah, but I can't find one.
Well, go find some water. Anyway, what's really cool about that is I just monetized a YouTube channel, like a gaming channel, not too long ago. I keep saying I'm releasing a video on how I did that, but I'll release it very soon. The big thing there is I feel like it's replicable and anyone could basically be able to do it. If you're looking to monetize like a gaming channel or maybe start a second channel, I really think it's something that you could almost recreate all the steps that I did. So I'm gonna do that. And it's really cool that Hudson's excited New World. So maybe partner streams, kind of fun stuff. I don't really know. Anyway, let's get started tearing this computer down. So there's not much lighting here, but I want to show you the previous kind of case and setup and tell you about all of the specs in here. You can tell it is extremely dirty, and we're going to new parts minus the hard drives. Underneath this Cooler Master cooler is a Xeon E5 2697 V2. It is a 12-core 24-thread processor that boosts to like 3 point something. It doesn't perform the greatest, but 12 cores, 24 threads. I got it off of AliExpress with the board. And then you can also see there is RAM on this side and RAM on this side. It's basically 32 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. I've got a couple different graphics cards. Actually, I've got one graphics card in here and one network card. This is a 2.5 gig card here. And then I just have a graphics card to be able to do display out because this does not actually have internal graphics. And then the 2.5 gig card, which we're gonna ditch because we don't need it anymore. This is an old, and I mean old 800 watt power supply that I actually got with this kind of build. This case came with it, and I needed a case that had several bays, so that's kind of how it worked. And then here are the hard drives. These are just Seagate 6 terabyte drives, 3.5 HDDs, 7200 speed enterprise drives that I picked up on Amazon. They were actually refurbished drives, so that's kind of been this kit, and it has worked flawlessly. I've actually been using this for my NAS for a while. I upgraded all the drives not too long ago, and this has been great. Oh, and then the boot drive is actually running off USB because it's just TrueNAS. Nothing crazy here. I'm probably still going to run it off USB. I'm not entirely sure. I might run this to a header. If I do, I do. If not, if not. Anyway, so TrueNAS is on an SSD right now. TrueNas Scale, those of you curious about it. So all I really have to take out of this rig is the 4 hard drives and the SATA connections. I think I might have some other SATAs, but I'm going to pull all the SATAs out and use the ones that are here in the new one. Here are all the new pieces. So we went with, it's like a little mini power supply. It's one of these cool ITX power supplies, but it's not a normal power supply. It's one that's supposed to fit in these little small cases. Yes, it's an ITX, but it's not like an ITX. And if you're curious about any of these parts, I'll put everything down in the description. This is what's powering the system. This is just a mini ITX case. We'll see more of it as I pull it out and we kind of mess with it and everything. For RAM, we actually went with DDR4. This is 64 gigs of DDR4. It says 3200, but the actual system limits it down to 2993. It's basically 3000. I got some Mulix to SATA connectors because I'm gonna need some extra SATA powers. This is what's really cool. I really love this chipset. I've been messing with it in some other little mini PCs, but they have an ITX version of it. This, oh wow, they actually included a SATA. This in here, I'll unbox it here in a second. This is a mini ITX. This is the Intel Celeron N5105 chip. That's a 4-core, 4-thread, and only boosts to 2.5 or 2.4 gigahertz. It's not crazy powerful, but for TrueNAS and what I'm using, I'm not doing like the craziest setup. I'm not doing VMs or anything like that. It's just mainly a NAS. I think this is going to be more than powerful enough. One of the reasons I got this board rather than the new N100 chip was the RAM on these boards, the little small boards. The N100s only came with one DIMM slot, and you can only slot in a 16 gig chip or 32 gig chip, and I wanted 64. The other thing is, it actually comes with a x4 PCIe slot. I think it's only wired for x2, maybe it's wired for x4, and then it also has an NVMe slot. On the back, it actually has 4 2.5 gig NICs, which is what's really nice. It's still got USB 3, USB 2, headphone out. It's got HDMI and DisplayPort. Yeah, HDMI and DisplayPort, because it still technically can be a computer, but it basically hooks up just like a normal computer. Pretty simple, pretty cool. Fans already included. And I've used this chip before. I know how powerful it is and what its limitations are. So I think that I will more than be happy with this. I just have to get it set up and installed in the system. Because I'm rocking just me and actually doing all handheld stuff today, I'm actually just gonna pull out all the hard drives. I'm gonna do that off camera. I'm gonna get the case out. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of set this up on a time lapse, showing me installing everything in the case, and then get everything plugged back in and then hooked up and connected. We'll talk about performance difference. I know that I can transfer at 276 megabytes per second. I can basically saturate my 2.5 gig network here. Eventually I'll go 10 gig, but I'm only 2.5 right now. And that goes over to my main system. It goes to the secondary system here, and then it goes throughout the house on Wi-Fi. So, all right, let me get this disconnected and I'll do a time lapse of me setting this up. All right, so technically I've got everything set up, but the case is not together, so let me show you. Everything put together, you can see the motherboard is inside. If I plug the power cable in, it comes on, so it totally is turning on, which is nice. You can see I've put this SSD over here. It's an ITX build. Everything's kind of crazy, but one of the things that's really nice about this is on the back, here's the back plane for the NAS. All 4 of the SATA cables go in here, and there's one Molex doing all the power for SATA in here, so I actually didn't need to buy those adapters from Molex to SATA power, so I'll probably hold on to them just in case I ever need something like that. The one thing I will not have are any of these indicator lights on the front, nor USB 3 on the front, so that's gonna be kind of meh. Okay, there's a power button and stuff here on the front for reset. I've only got the power button plugged in right now, which is fine. Everything's pretty cool. It has a lot of exhaust. There's one fan for exhaust right there for the hard drives, as well as just general exhaust, and then there's obviously an exhaust for the power supply to pull some air out of the case as well. It's gonna be a lot of positive energy. It's gonna be pushing air out, basically. It's pulling air in from everywhere. So I did change out this PCIe bracket. Let me see if I can zoom in. There's one that was slotted, so I can have some kind of air that would just come in and suck through. So that's one thing I did do. I've got it connected to this monitor. I have it on auto power on. So as long as I plug in the power cable, it automatically turned on, but I haven't seen it post yet. So hope is that we're gonna see some kind of HDMI out here. Oh, we do have indicator lights. All 4 lights are showing that there are drives here. It might take a while to post. Oh, it'd be great to have video out if I connected video out. So here's the HDMI cable. Let's try this again. Oh, hey, a post. So all that's doing my TrueNAS stuff. I don't think there's anything you can be able to see that's kind of crazy there, but TrueNAS is working, which means I didn't have to reinstall TrueNAS. So the goal, hopefully, is just gonna boot up into TrueNAS, and it is running 2.5 gig. So technically everything is working. I've actually buttoned it up and taken the time to actually go ahead and do some tests and drag and drop a couple of files. And the biggest thing that I've noticed, like importance-wise, when it comes to this upgrade was I'm using a lot more cores compared to not using 12 cores, 24 threads. I'm only using 4. I did fix it connecting and everything. It literally, once I plugged in, flawless. I didn't even have to change anything. It just all connected to the network. It was just wonderful. Those of you considering doing like a NAS for yourself and trying to think like, well, you know, should I go with these like pre-built solutions where you can just buy the 2 discs and throw them in them? Sure, if you want something that's pre-done and all configurable, whatever the case, but I did this full upgrade for less than I probably would have paid for that and have more functionality and more upgradability by doing it this way. That being said, there was a lot, and when I say a lot, there's a lot of knowledge I've had building computers that I brought into this. So this was kind of hard to build in. This case was hard to build in, getting the wires connected, and I already had TrueNas set up, already had my like pool created and everything. Maybe I should do like a full guide on how to set up a NAS. Let me know if that's something you're actually interested in on this channel. But I think a NAS is really important. You can actually put your Steam library on a NAS. A lot of the games you can actually store on, you know, a network drive and access them from multiple computers. There's a lot of things you can use it for, but personally, I have it for the fact that I can be anywhere in my house with a laptop, well, on my desktop computer, or any computer I connect to, and I can get to that network storage. And even if my main computer dies today, like storage dies, I don't keep anything mission critical on that one drive. I keep it on the NAS and then in the cloud to have everything safe. So I could literally like lose that computer and I have this second system that I've built here, and I could literally continue doing YouTube, client work, all of that stuff. So the big thing about this was I wanted a smaller form factor. That E5 2697 not only pulled a whole bunch of wattage, but it wasn't the quietest thing. And while this also isn't the quietest thing, I'm gonna have to change out the fan that comes on the actual chip. So it's not that loud, but it's noticeable. I'll probably change the cooler out on the actual motherboard, but that'll be for a future kind of thing. But for now, I think it was a great upgrade so far. I'm really happy with it. I'm actually going to be putting it into one of these bays that are right here. I have these like IKEA Kallax, I think they're called Kallax, things that I put RGB in. Anyway, they're kind of full with a whole bunch of junk right now. I'm going to put it in one of those bays. So I'm going from that tower to much smaller than one of those bays. Let's get that plugged in. I'll answer some general questions that I know people are gonna ask.
So it's been a few days, and in all honesty, my server has been working flawlessly. We've done a couple client projects, and it's been wonderful. And I wanna show you the transfer speeds and show you some of the stuff in the back end for TrueNas, just so you can kind of get an idea. So here's TrueNas Scale, and there's a lot to explain here, but basically what I'll say is that TrueNas is an operating system that allows you to basically do things like this, where you can create a NAS or a system storage, or you can do virtual machines, etc., whatever the case. Anyway, I'm not going to go too far into this. If you want something or some information about this, or kind of like a full walk down or walk through kind of what TrueNas is, let me know. But I kind of just wanted to show you how this works. What you can see right here, if I zoom this in a little bit, you'll be able to see here's the actual Celeron processor N5105. It's got 4 cores, 4 threads, and you can see that the hottest is like 30 degrees Celsius, and it's been running really cool. But you can see the average usage, and you do see that it is registering all 64 gigabytes here, and you have this cache right here, 10.7 gigabytes. It's just for cache, and there's this free here. When I'm editing, this usually bumps up to around 30 or 40 gigabytes, and that's just so that it stores the local files in memory. So what I want to do is actually copy a file, which is what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to copy this video. It's like 3 gigs, and here's the NAS. All I'm going to do is paste it, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to see this move right here, just so that you can see what it's looking at, and we can also see speeds. So when I paste this file, you can see its usage is going up. It went up to like 13% for a moment. It's jumping back up in speed, 20%, and I'm fully saturating my 2.5 gig bus here, 20%, 25% usage, and I'm at 280 megabytes of movement just between my system, which is an NVMe drive, to the actual NAS, which is exactly what my previous system was doing with no issues. Then obviously I can go in here and delete that file. Yes, I'm gonna do it one more time just so that you can see it. I'm not gonna move that window once it launches, and you'll see it just kind of fully lays in that entire time, all 280 megabytes a second launching through here, and you can see it's 25% usage. No issues for a 4-core, 4-thread NAS motherboard to move that over, and I'm only accessing and pulling files like video stuff at any time. I'm not like actively writing and pulling constantly. So this is really what I use it for, is just for storage for client work and anything that I'm doing for my work. And that's just that I can access it on the network. My MacBook can access it, and it's pretty straightforward. Those of you keen-eyed might have seen that it says that my pull is unhealthy. Those of you who know what that means, had some checksum errors after installing the system. I'm just working through that. The actual drives are healthy. I've already tested all of them. It's just some stuff in the back end that I have to adjust. Anyway, this is not really a normal video I do on my channel, but if you're curious about any of the hardware I did use for this, like the case, the motherboard, the RAM, any of that stuff, I will leave everything down in the comments. And if you want like a really dedicated, like here's what TrueNas Scale is and why you would use it, you can even use it for like a Steam cache. Just let me know, and we'll see about getting one of those out in the new year. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you check out one of these 2 videos, very powerful, and see you in the next one. Y'all have a great day.